Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is once again that time of the week. A lot of y'all, maybe you're going home for holiday break, but for those of you still in town, this is a program we do every week. It's called the Hoodrat Strategist radio program. And we spend our time for about 2 hours digging up the dirt, calling out the mainstream media and the establishment on their BS, talking about those things that nobody else is talking about, both here locally in the activist scene and nationally and around the world. All the listeners out there, happy Hanukkah. It's the second night, I believe. And we got well, we always have a lot to talk about, but this week, I mean, I don't even know if we really got enough time to cover all the stuff that's been going on. So we're joined by my dear co-host and friend Lawrence, and Luke is also on his way, but he is driving through the snow in a one, not a horse open sleigh, but a cheap car that, you know, he'd probably be able to afford a better one, except as we all know, millennials, you know, we kind of at the short end of the economic stick. So
I mean, you know, it's a beautiful Michigan day. It's like you know, about 4 to 8 inches of snow that's supposed to be hitting us. So
yeah.
You know, it's pure Michigan as much as pure Michigan can get.
It actually feels it's funny now how like when we actually get like severe winter weather, it's actually reassuring because it's like, oh man, okay.
No,
climate change.
Yeah, climate change.
Yeah.
Like we're still in the midst of climate change because boy, is it gonna get bad.
Man. Didn't even get cold this year until like middle of December. So.
Right. No, the thing is, man, like I don't know where side of town you live on, but on the north side, like the main streets are fine. When you get to like the local streets where you actually need to drive to like get home and stuff, the black ice and all that stuff is nasty.
Yeah, like, I mean, I live in the Vine now, but I grew up in Edison and like same deal.
Yeah, dog. It's man, it's ugly. It's ugly. Please be safe out there if you are listening on the road. Please be safe, because it's kind of ugly today.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover today.
Man. Oh, God is good today. God.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Jones and me. That's pretty dense and dang topic right there. Oh, somebody. I saw the co-host run. Maybe our other co-host is here also. But did want to remind everybody that the final vote for net neutrality is tomorrow. And if I can pull it up, I've got some information for y'all. Except I don't. Okay. Yeah.
We had the final vote for net neutrality. A couple other stories that we might be hitting on I want to talk about is selective outrage. I want to talk about selective outrage. You know, it's amazing how, as a kid that was bullied growing up, I understand the plight of many that were bullied.
Are we really going to talk about Keaton Jones?
No, we're not. We're going to talk about selective.
God.
We're going to talk about selective outrage because as much as it warms my heart to see people talk about that story.
Well, I mean, you know the plot twist, right?
Yeah, I know the plot twist. This is the thing.
It's like an M. Night Shyamalan level plot twist.
Oh man, the thing is, Grand Rapids police has been pulling their guns on black youth and minorities. And they've been arresting and harassing black teenagers. And an 11-year-old girl was arrested and had a gun drawn on her. And I'm like, where's that celebrity outrage? You know, where's that when Tamir Rice got shot? Where was that?
It's because it didn't have a viral video associated with it. You gotta have the viral video of the kid crying. in order to generate the sympathy.
It's interesting that you bring that up. A couple months ago, I had a video sent to me that was essentially, it was a traffic stop where a Grand Rapids cop was essentially harassing and like slapping around this like younger black dude.
I think
for no provocation. Yeah. And by the way, some unscrupulous stuff goes down in Kalamazoo too, but they're a little bit more subtle about it. We've talked on the show like Chief Hadley, who's no longer the chief, but he did try to push for some reforms, but a lot of the racist police in KPS weren't actually fired or dismissed, so it's basically kind of a, keep your racism on the DL. Yeah. Grand Rapids police have not gotten such a instruction.
They didn't get that memo.
Nah, they said throw some D's on it. That's what they. I mean, there's that. There's the good news of Mr. Jones. I mean that about Roy Moore, and that wonderful news that and again, selective outrage. 68% of Alabama white people voted for pedophile. Now,
white people.
Now, my thing is this:
white people, you need to get your stuff together.
My thing is this: again, selective outrage. Can you imagine if 68% of black folks voted for a pedophile?
I mean, that's just the fact. I mean, really, you could just make the argument that that's just the an effect of the white supremacy within our systems and our media.
Oh man!
So really,
they would have been they would have been talking about our moral character for the next week and a half. Where's the fathers?
See, I don't really. I guess that's what makes us different, is because I really don't feel like trying to talk about how terrible people are all the time.
Oh man.
Even though, like, I just don't feel like that creates any kind of positive discussion or solution.
Yeah. No.
Calling a spade and a flesh is flesh.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we have to do that.
Oh yeah.
I agree with that.
And another thing. So speaking on that, the DOJ interns confronting Jeff Sessions.
Oh my God, that was delicious.
Again, there are wonderful things to talk about today that just makes you say, "Look at God."
Well, I did want to talk. So why don't we start with this whole Bob Jones thing? Because I think this is big, and we're going to spend a good chunk of time talking about it. And
okay.
I mean, like you mentioned. I posted that article from The Root this morning. It's like, thank you, you're welcome, everybody. Black people saved America yesterday.
Like we always do.
Black people saved America again. It's not even because like black people want to save America. It's that black people want to save their own skins.
Well, it's,
I mean, we don't have a choice. Over 97% of black women.
96. Oh no. You're right. 97.
It was 97% of black women that came out, in like over 90. It was like what, 93, 94?
Yeah.
Of black men came out.
Yeah.
For. Oh, and this is in a district. This is in the state of Alabama, where they closed not only DMVs so people can be registered to vote. They were closing polling stations. Yeah. They were doing cross check.
As soon as the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act, when was it? I don't remember. 2011.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to touch on that too, because we talk about voter suppression a lot on the show.
Yeah, no, this.
Like they have a firewall.
We're just going to talk about Alabama all for the rest of the show, because it really touches everything that we're about to talk about.
Yeah. Let's Andy, drop it one time, man. What we talking about?
Here's just the background stuff that's in there. They have some of the strictest voter ID laws in the country. They require like photo ID. No same-day registration, no automatic registration, no pre-registration for people under the age of 18. And of course, particularly like black voters in Alabama, it affects them disproportionately. That's about 118,000. And
Also, if you are a felon or you've been arrested,
Yup.
they take away your voting. They take away your voting rights.
I thought that was like
And that doesn't even mention the actual voter intimidation and shenanigans that go on during election day. There were reports of police outside of polling stations, not only just generally intimidating people, but basically checking potential voters to see if they had any warrants, doing just general kind of fear tactics and harassment. There was also a lot of voters, and particularly, I should just say, like a lot of black voters, talked about going in and being told that they were marked as an inactive voter and being handed a provisional ballot. And there's actually a young woman who went on Twitter and talked about so here's what they did. She said they made the inactive people go to a special table to fill out a form. And guess what? If you don't remember your birth county, you can't fill out the form. And so, like, if you're born out of state, that's going to be a problem for you. So, excuse me. So multiple voters, they were getting provisional ballots, but a lot of people had the wherewithal to basically call BS on that. And, some people state there were long lines. So basically, every tactic that they pull out to stop or inhibit the black vote from having an impact on the election, they did. But what we've also talked about on the show before is how if you get enough of a wave of like, if you get a hard enough clearance level, you can clear even the hardest voter suppression tactics. 'Cause they used similar tactics against Obama in the 2008 and 2012 elections, but he had so many voters come out for him that it basically overclocked those suppression tactics that they come out and use.
Overwhelming majority of black women, just like with the Obama coalition, voted for Doug Jones. And they use the same tactics. Like, if you read the new Jim Crow, and you read other books like that, then you'll see that these suppression tactics are nothing new. These are things that the South and other parties, including the Democrats to some extent, have used to push things into their agenda, to push things to where they want it to go. And yeah, it's kind of hard to, and also to add to the fact that, Roy Moore was just a bad candidate, and it's kind of hard to not have black folks come out to vote for you when you say when you say that the best when America was great during slavery. Like what?
That's a pretty low bar.
Jesus Christ.
If that's not gonna galvanize black people, is like what?
Yeah, wait, what did you just say? What did he?
Not to mention the fact. Let's talk about his actual credentials. Let's talk about his actual factual. I was elected into a public position twice. Credentials. He got kicked off both times because he ignored the Constitution. He's literally the worst American.
Oh yeah.
He violated the First Amendment multiple times.
Oh man.
He was elected to the state bar as a judge. And he got kicked off twice because he wouldn't adhere to the United States federal Constitution.
It's because he had the 10 Commandments, and that's what he was using as his scale of justice.
Yeah, and that's wrong. Sorry, that's an intermingling of church and state. That is a Christian theocracy. That is that is Christian Sharia.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Doug Jones, or not Doug Jones, Roy Moore. You suck. You just suck. You suck for America. You suck for anybody who's not you. Really. You and your tiny little closed-minded clan of people who think that America needs to be run by God-fearing people and that Christianity is the true religion or garbage like that.
Oh man, I mean, if we're gonna talk about religion,
it's that specific mindset of American evangelicalism. Like that's really what it is.
I want to ask other as the Christian that's in the room, and I want to ask my other evangelical conservative friends when I go down to the South. How in the world can you stand by a married man who abused 15, 14, 15, 16-year-olds?
Oh, that's just how the culture was down in Alabama 40 years ago. Everybody was fine with it. That doesn't make it okay.
Right.
Yep.
Like, Jesus
That
Christ.
doesn't make it okay.
Wait.
Just
Wait.
watching.
How do you justify a man again? If we're gonna talk about the Christ, in many aspects, if you look at what he actually stood for, were socialist policies. He cared about actually helping the poor. Roy Moore wanted to give taxes to the rich.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. If he were alive today, like Fox News would be like, and now this terrorist socialist from the Middle East,
I mean,
came into the middle of the stock exchange, started whipping people.
Oh wait, no, he would be
literally Roy Moore was a vote for the tax bill. That's all it was.
He was. Yeah, Roy Moore was a vote for the tax bill.
Vote for the tax bill because now Congress is the Senate's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we can wait until the new year to seat Doug Jones, and Democrats are like, no, do it.
No.
We see him right now because I guarantee, like, if Roy Moore had won,
oh man,
if Roy Moore had won, he'd be seated next week.
Oh man, now are you kidding me? He would be getting Christmas presents. Like he would be getting Christmas presents with eggnog right now. Like,
so I did want to take a sec to talk a little bit about Doug Jones himself, and a lot of the people I've been kind of following, he's gotten a lot of flack for being a centrist, and I did want to say, like,
I was already lukewarm on Doug Jones in the first place because his entire campaign was, I'm not Roy Moore. I'm not Roy Moore. I'm not a pedophile. I'm not Roy Moore.
He was the John Ossoff of Alabama.
The John Ossoff.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm actually going to have to disagree a little bit because I think he's got a little bit more chops and sincerity than a John Ossoff type, in the sense that. So look, you look at his policy platform. It's from 1992. Let's be clear.
Wait. Let him finish. Let him go.
At the same time, like. He actually has some really good credentials on certain, like, he went after that famous case of it was the Ku Klux Klan who did the Birmingham bombing.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't actually have any political experience in elected office. He's been a U.S. attorney for his entire career. So he's got like actual civil rights chops. He goes after a lot of like these racists. He goes after a lot of people who are contributing to strife against like the African American community. I actually did talk about voter suppression a bit on his campaign.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, to his credit, like I'm not like really worried about him. I think he's someone that can be easily convinced. With enough pressure. I don't think that he will act against the interests of people if they pay attention to him.
Yeah.
The problem is that he's another old white guy on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
So really he can ride this whole, like, if the corporate establishment gets his hooks in, he really gets their hooks into him, he can really ride I prosecuted the KKK forever.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, if you look at a lot of his grassroots organizing, it was a lot of minority support that helped him in his situation, which is what you want. You're in a state of Alabama where, what was it? In his county, 2/3 of the population is black or something like that, or something ridiculous. So you have to speak to the issues that your community is involved in, and that's what. And in some aspects, I will give him credit. He did speak to different black women groups and things like that. He did speak to a lot of different African American groups. Roland Martin did a fantastic job of breaking down. He did a really good analysis of how the race, why the race turned out the way it is.
Yeah.
He also broke down why the Democrats need to stop going after white conservative women and thinking that that's going to save them in the South. And it's not.
I mean,
68%.
Yeah.
Like,
That would have been higher,
it's
but
something.
if not, it's like, well, he touched a bunch of women, and
It is.
no, but they tried to smear the women. They like if you saw.
No. To get back to Doug Jones real quick, like that is also something that I feel that he can bring to the table that can be good if it is utilized in a way that is good for the Democratic base, not the Democratic establishment, the Democratic base.
Yeah,
he knows how to build a coalition.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. Because if you can't build a coalition, then there's absolutely no way you can win an election. And the Alabama Democratic State Party is
there one?
Is there one?
No,
yeah, it's like
you have one or two.
It's a
progressive-
ruin, from what I understand. It's a complete and utter ruin, and they just sat a Democrat in a Senate seat in a deep red state for the first time in 25 years because of that ability to coalition build. So
I mean, it goes back to the thing that we talked about before. It's like if you speak to the issues of your voters might actually vote for you. Now,
And he did come out, like, he talked about a lot of kitchen table issues. You know, he wasn't like a Hillary Clinton type who's just like, he wasn't talking
Stronger
about,
together.
let's put hope on the ballot. Yeah. He
break
actually,
the barriers.
Yeah, like he came out strong for like people deserve a living wage. And you know, he wasn't a democratic socialist or anything, but he at least was responsive to the populist issues and problems of the people of Alabama.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to, again, and this is where I give him lukewarm credit. It's kind of hard not to push for those issues when your state takes federal funding, a majority of federal funding compared to blue states. It also is not that hard to push for those issues when half your state makes less than $30,000 a year. When
it's also not hard to push for those issues when parts of your state live in literal sewage.
yeah.
Yep.
So I mean,
So
I mean, I'm happy that we don't have another swamp monster to deal with. Like, that's what I'm happy for, and that's a good thing.
we have someone we can actually deal with. Is really what it is.
Yeah, compared to a straight up monster, and that's good. But the thing that I wanted to talk about is that you have some Democrats who are looking at this, more corporatist, centrist Democrats looking at this, and they are not seeing the true message behind why he won.
Right.
And that's the issue.
Because like two things happen, I'd say, are the biggest things. It's like, one, Roy Moore was just that awful of a candidate. You know, let's be clear, that's a big part of it. But the Doug Jones's points of strength had to do with the way he organized, which is completely antithetical to the way that the DCCC or the Democratic National Committee thinks about organizing, because he organized in a grassroots manner.
Yeah.
And you know,
He didn't. The other thing that was the issue was a lot of people who were voting, a good majority of people who were voting, did not actually know what he stood for a majority of the time. A lot of his strategy was, I'm not Roy Moore. And that is not enough. He
you gotta
barely
pay attention
won.
to that. Like,
he barely won by 0.7?
yeah,
Oh,
and, it's
0.7%?
because it is sort of that failure of that sort of like centrist failure of messaging. It's also sort of the
yeah, keep in mind, like, less than a percentage point, and I know, like,
It's-
people want to be all
they-
cheeky and say, oh, well, it's Alabama, and like, no, it's like,
no,
yeah.
like the fact that Roy Moore hasn't conceded the race yet.
It's
Dude's 20,000 votes down, and the absentee ballots that they expect in are not that many.
It's like a it's like a pedophile doesn't know when no means no. It's like it's like certain people just don't know when no means no.
Alabama said no.
In Alabama said no.
Yes.
Nah, son, go take that garbage somewhere else.
Well, here's an interesting question, because I was talking with a friend of mine online about it, and like most of the interviews you see from like either Roy Moore supporters or like really conservative Alabamans was they had like this genuine like moral dilemma, like I can't vote for Roy Moore, but I can't vote for a Democrat. And
A Democrat.
And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if like, do you think he would have done better in the election, or not even Doug Jones, but let's say like an independent with a similar platform? Do you think they would have done better in the election than somebody with a D next to their name?
I think that in many aspects, I think that if you had someone that was an unapologetic populist like Bernie Sanders, then no, they wouldn't have cared, because Bernie's proven it. He went to West Virginia. He went to Mississippi. He had town halls with Trump voters, and they stood and gave him a standing ovation when he talked about Medicare for all, free college, and a living wage. So, and again, though, just those three issues alone crosses the political spectrum. Now there are going to be some people who's like, I don't think that healthcare is a right. But I have conservative friends who say that to me. They're like, I don't think it's a right, but financially it makes sense, and I'm about saving money.
I mean, my only rebuttal to that is, I mean, like, okay, then you don't have the right to life. You don't have the right to life,
liberty, or the pursuit of happiness.
All right, y'all are pro-life. You better show up to the anti-war demonstration next week. Let's go.
Right, right.
Like,
I'm like, oh well, you don't. I don't think free education's a right. Okay, that's cool for you. That's cool for you. But we're gonna take the taxes. We're gonna take taxes from the richest 1%, and we're gonna put that in a. We're gonna rebuild our infrastructure with it. We're gonna give people who want to go to college can go to college without going into debt. We're gonna give people universal health care so they don't have to go bankrupt when they get sick.
I mean, trickle down, guys. I mean, it's not like our inequality is worse than it's been since ancient Egypt or anything. No, actually, it is.
No. It's not like
study.
No, it's not like we're about to have another crash like 1928.
Worse.
Like it's like
worse.
Right. And
I expect it to be worse.
Oh man, but
honestly, it's going to be worse.
But that's the thing. Like it. On those three issues alone, and we can keep going on. Putting money into our infrastructure, getting out of the wars. Why in the war of Afghanistan or Iraq, they're polling at 17%. They're polling at worse percentage than the Vietnam War. Ending the drug war, which is afflicting a state like Alabama, because Alabama has an opiate crisis.
Well,
so
I mean,
again,
even,
like
a lot of people inside the military-industrial complex, like there've been people who. When they're honest, go on the record, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to be in Afghanistan for decades.
Yeah,
like it's just.
I mean, we needed to look at Iraq as a business opportunity.
Right. Here's the thing. When you have someone to answer your question, when you have someone like Ro Khanna, like Bernie Sanders, like Tulsi Gabbard.
I'm just going to say that if Ro Khanna decides to run in 2020, he's got my vote already.
Oh, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have people who are unapologetic about where they stand and they make that stance clear, then, like their policy or not, they will be looked at as being strong, and they will be looked at as being fearless, which is what Republicans like, because they're authoritarian by nature. They like strong men who stand by their principles, no matter if their principles are garbage. Roy Moore was a person who stood by his garbage principles, and he almost won.
Let's just get rid of every single amendment after the 10th. Let's just do that.
Like what? Like what?
Let's just get rid of it.
Like what?
slavery is okay, man.
Oh my God!
Well, I'm not
Lawrence,
saying
didn't you know that
slavery
slavery was
good.
actually good for black people?
But it was good
Oh
for
my-
culture.
Oh
okay?
my God!
Families are
when
happy.
I heard that, y'all don't understand. When I heard, not only when I heard that, but the interview from his wife.
Oh my God!
Hey, we ain't got nothing against no Jewish people. We got
Wait.
Call us bigots. They say we hate Jews. That's
We
not
have
true.
friends that are black, and he elected. He liked
Lord
black
is a
people.
Jew.
He got a black friend right there. Like I was like, what? What did I just hear?
Our lawyer is a Jew.
Like, oh my God, like, bro. Okay, but to get back to the question, would Doug Jones do better? Would he have done better? He would have done better if he was unapologetic and he stood by his issues and he was aggressive. Being passive only works for Bernie because Bernie only deals with the issues. That was Bernie's flaw. Because Bernie was not aggressive enough about attacking said issues.
You're right. Doug Jones was pretty quiet to the point where it's like, I mean, even until like the actual results are coming in, a lot of people are just like, who is Doug Jones?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the issue. If you have someone like Nina Turner or Tulsi Gabbard, or you have somebody like Elizabeth Warren, even Kristen Gillibrand, who I don't like when it comes to policy, she's been stepping out more, and she's been calling out BS that she can call out to an extent.
Yeah.
Because
The stuff that doesn't mess with the donor's interest. Yeah.
Right. Like, her going after Trump, her saying that she supports Medicare for all, and actually being vocal and being aggressive about it. Those things get people attention. You may not like some of the backlash that you're gonna get, but that's the point of being a public servant.
I mean, you want that contention though in your messaging, because contention in messaging means people are talking about what you're talking about, which sets the narrative.
Right.
Democrats are historically awful at setting the narrative.
Oh, man.
They're just so bad at it, and you need that aggression in your messaging in order to set the narrative.
They always play on the defense, except for people like Bernie, who he was ready to like go out swinging against the oligarchy and all that.
Oh, I mean, if you want to see what an aggressive, progressive woman looks like, look up Nomiki Kantz. On the Unity Reform. Nomiki Kantz, who's a part of TYT, she's a reporter for TYT. She was on the Unity Reform Commission because they just got done voting on what their reforms were going to be. She was appointed there by Bernie. Her and Nina Turner on the Unity Reform Commission was going off. And Nomiki's video went viral because she was being honest. And she was fed up and being aggressive about what the BS that they were dealing with.
My only complaint about that video is that she apologized after she let a swear slip. I'm like, no, swear,
Right.
be angry. You're allowed that.
Oh man,
I know.
we need to talk about that.
Let's
too.
go to a quick break.
Yeah.
And I did want to interstate. So actually, at the recent tax rally, I came up with the chant. Fred Upton is a lying jerk. Trickle down economics doesn't work. And one of the older ladies.
Yes.
One of the older ladies was like, can we not do name calling? And she asked me like me and my Eponine like not to say it, and like Ebony's response was like, this tax bill is gonna kill people. I think jerk is being polite.
Oh man,
Jerk is definitely being polite.
Yeah.
That is the polite.
Okay. When the tax bill is going to get rid of people's Medicare, is going to cut people's wages, and it's going to increase your taxes by 100-fold. Yeah.
All right, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll hop back and pick out another one of these myriad number of topics we got to talk about tonight.
Man.
So, y'all listening to the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo, your only source for political revolution.
is a rather prominent issue amongst the student body of Western. The Invisible Need Project is a multifaceted initiative that's aimed to help struggling students. Every 2 weeks, generous people donate their food to the pantry located in the Fawn Student Service buildings or other drop-off locations. All you need to do is grab a reusable bag and grab whatever food you need to help sustain yourself. If anyone's unsure when their next meal will be, or if you have a little extra food you'd be willing to donate, the food pantry is your place. If you're looking to help donate, become a volunteer, or just learn more, call 269-387-4742 or email dosa-inp@wmich.edu for details.
Are you trying to get your local Kalamazoo business name out to the WMU and Greater Kalamazoo communities? Why not do so while supporting Radio Evolution through underwriting and donations? For more information, please visit widrfm.org.
Hello, everybody. We are back. This is the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo. So, gentlemen, what should we talk about next? I know we've got, there was another police shooting, excuse me, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Honestly,
let's get into that one.
God, this is literally the worst one.
Oh yeah, we have to get into that one.
Yeah, and I mean, I picked this particular article for a reason because it really speaks to what's going. So Daniel Shaver, he was this dude who got murdered by the police.
We live in a police state.
Yeah. If you haven't figured that one out yet.
Let Andy get into it.
But he was shot to death by Philip Brailsford, and if you haven't seen the video, it's pretty gross. The cop in question is shouting instructions to him. Get on the floor. Go ahead, Luke or Lawrence. Yeah.
Just to give context, there were people in a pool, and they saw somebody with a gun. It wasn't a gun; it was an airsoft rifle. Because Daniel, I think he does something with birds. That was a part of his job.
He was a pest control guy.
He was a pest control guy. So he had an airsoft rifle, so he can get the birds and other critters away from the building that he was at. Now, I do not blame the people who are in the pool who said they saw a gun. We live in a country where there are more mass shootings than days in the calendar year. I do not blame them. This is solely on the officer.
Yeah.
Because what the officer did, he did everything in his power to show that I'm in control of this situation. You will listen to what I have to say. You will listen to exactly everything I have to say. This is not a discussion. And if I feel like you are disrespecting me at any point in time, your life is over.
Well, I'll go ahead and play the clip real quick. And this is again Daniel Shaver, and he's doing everything that the officer says.
A warning. This audio is graphic.
Yeah,
like this audio is graphic. This video is graphic. If you go search it out for yourself, I've watched it one too many times now, and it kills me inside every single time I watch it. So I just want everybody who's listening to know that if you are sensitive to content like this, take a pause, come back in just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Hands up in the air! You do that again, we're shooting you. Do you understand? Then listen to my instructions. Don't talk, listen! Hands straight up in the air.
And the guy, he's doing exactly what the officer says.
You think you're gonna fall, you better fall on your face.
Okay.
Crawl towards me. Crawl towards me. Don't talk.
All right, that. Oof, God.
I could. Okay, I have to
sorry.
go first. I'm
Go,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Get it in.
I have to go first because this is one of those cop shootings that is of an unarmed white person that has gone viral. So every single person who's a Blue Lives Matter activist or stands next to cops like this, all of you are wrong. Every single one of you is wrong. Because, like we're about to get into this article, the Black Lives Matter movement is responsible for driving the outrage behind this shooting.
Yeah. They are.
Every single person who has said all lives matter, Blue Lives Matter, who was on the side of this cop as he was just doing his job. Why do you hate your neighbors? Why do you want to live in a police state? Why do you want to live in a state where, like, in a place?
Is order really worth so much that it's okay for innocent people to just get dropped like that?
Like, this is obviously a case of a man who has it so far in his head that he is the authority and you must listen to him. Otherwise, he can do with you whatever you want. This is not a man you want on a police force. This is a man who should have been screened out through psychological testing.
Are you kidding me? On his AR-15.
Oh, I was getting to that. I was getting to that.
Get to it.
He had engraved on the side of his service AR-15, "You're effed." Like, this is not a person you want. Like, just straight up, not a person you want policing your community. This is a person who needs help. This is a person who has obvious anger management issues.
This is a person. This is one of those angry people that you play Rainbow Six Siege with, and he believes it's real life. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what. The other thing about this is the thing that scares me the most, and the thing that truly scares me the most is that most incidents like this, where Philando Castile or the South Carolina dude who just got the officer just got jail time.
The day before they announced he's guilty, and then this dropped.
Yeah.
So it's like,
okay. So I mean, like in police shootings where for years, since the beginning of our country, minorities, not just black folks, but black folks in general, and minorities have said, yo, these people, these officers who are given sovereignty by the state to keep the peace is abusing their power. And for the longest of time, we've had people like, and so what? If you're not guilty, you shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, if you're not hiding anything, you shouldn't have anything to be afraid of. You know, that whole logic.
That's the small bigotry of soft racism. That's what that is. The thing that kills me is one of the excuses that they used was the officer wanted to protect the woman that was there, his Daniel's partner that was there too.
wow,
If
that's
you
not
watch
sexist.
if you watch the video from the beginning, he's threatening to shoot the woman as well. So this officer who's meant to protect the law, who's, again, I get it, cops are afraid, like there's a gun, someone has a gun, they're afraid because there's mass shootings. I get that. But after you've already told him to get his hands on the ground, to put his hands up, after the 2-3 minutes of you giving him orders, there's two of you there, it's not just him, it's him and another person. Why can't you walk to the person when he's already on the ground? He already had his hands up. He was already showing that he was complying. Why can't one of you just walk over and put the cuffs on?
Because cops aren't trained in de-escescalation tactics and recognizing when someone is already submissive and not a danger to anybody. Right. You know, that's, or you know, they just, or they just have, or they just.
Are you talking about normal police work? No, you're talking about. We're talking about normal police work. Like, okay, the person said, he's responding to what I said. He has his hands up. He's on his knees. He's not a threat anymore. I don't see a weapon. I already have my gun trained on him. My partner can go and arrest him now.
Yeah, exactly. And, I brought this up time and time again. I mean, even as far back as Ferguson, I've spent most of my career in the mental health field. And when we get trained, we are trained how to deal with mentally disturbed individuals who have weapons, and we are taught how to de-escalate and disarm without harming the person in question. And this was a job where I made like $11.80 an hour. If I get the training to know how to deal with that situation, why don't we have the expectation that the police have to have that same amount of training? Because de-escalation is about like 99% of what their job has to entail anyway.
The reason why, because studies have shown it, they put American police officers versus police officers around the world. The reason why is, one, when you give aggressive people weapons and the most of their training is dealing with combat or dealing with aggression, adding aggression to a situation, that's the number one thing they're going to rely on. Is it doesn't bother me, or it makes more sense when you look at Japan or you look at Europe. They carry billy clubs.
It's the militarization of the police. Yeah, it's just the straight militarization of the police. The police get the same training that like our military does.
In a shorter time span.
In a shorter time span. Our police forces are trained to consider
and by the way,
communities they police as enemies, not as community members, not as citizens, and not like neighbors and crap.
Yeah, Google do a search for Officer Philip Brailsford, and you look at a picture of him, and it's like he looks like he's about to like jump off a freaking helicopter into behind enemy lines, except with camo fatigues. It's a blue outfit, but
it's just like it's one of those things that I love the fact that sci-fi has a perfect quote for it. Is there's a reason why you separate the military and the police. Because when the military becomes the police, the enemy begins to look like the people you're policing. I'm paraphrasing, but
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And this is just a continued expansion of that case. Our police culture has to change, and this is part of my gun control argument as well. Is like if we de-escalate everyone in the country, we de-escalate like gun control on the populace also means like de-escalating weapons for the police.
My God! It sounds like you're talking about some crazy socialist Marxist society like Australia that did that. Like, oh my God, why are you coming for my rights, Luke? Oh my God, that's crazy talk.
I mean, even looking at a more of like what I would consider still rather extreme but far more acceptable version of gun control is Japan's form of gun control.
Right.
Where the cops still have sidearms.
Yeah.
But it's the cops. And that's it. The cops and the military. And people argue, like the argument to that is, well, the cops, so the government, and criminals. I'm just like, Japan's armed crime is organized.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Organized crime hates violence.
Organized crime doesn't operate when there's chaos. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. Now, in the other part, when you talk about Japan had a mass stabbing the same day Sandy Hook had a mass shooting. You want to know how many people died during the mass stabbing?
How many?
0.
Oh.
A lot of people. No, don't get me wrong. A lot of people got hurt. It was very traumatizing. The guy had a knife. He hurt a lot of people. No one died. Compare that to Sandy Hook.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. No. So again, it goes to yes, we need to have not just gun control over the police and demilitarize the police, and we need to have gun control in the country so everyone's not afraid that they're going to get shot every day. We also need the training. Yes, police officers need to be trained to de-escalate and not escalate situations. But we also need accountability in our justice system.
Oh, absolutely.
When you see something like this in our mainstream media, call it for what it is. That's murder. When Tamir Rice got shot within 5 seconds, that was murder. When young Crawford in the Ohio Walmart and he got shot within 4 seconds, that was murder. This white kid who was doing his job, who got stopped by the police, was shot to death and made to crawl to the police like a dog after they were already had him established as non-combative. That's murder, folks. That is murder. Call it for what it is. And I understand that the police unions, and that was the other thing. The police union that came out and said that that this case should never went to trial, that they were justified. When your police unions are justifying senseless murder, then you need to get rid of those officers and that chief and start fresh, because that means that they do not care about you and their job is meant to protect you. You pay for their salary. It's not the other way around.
I want to read like a couple quotes from this article that it popped up. One, it's a tweet by Wesley Lowery, and he says, this is a BLM activist. The American criminal justice system, as currently constructed, is not designed to indict or convict on-duty police officers who shoot and kill people, no matter the circumstances of the shooting. And then he does like hashtag Daniel Shaver. And then I also wanted to cite in the article how they talk about, Black Lives Matter. And I want all the listeners out there, I want y'all to remember this and remember it good for when you're going home to visit all your, conservative white friends and family for Christmas. Black Lives Matter has urged comprehensive reforms, including the establishment of disciplinary police commissions and civilian complaint offices, strengthening the use of force policies, and investment in rigorous and sustained training for police officers on engaging with the public. And then Connor Friedersdorf argued, he said this in an article in The Atlantic. If you're horrified by Daniel Shaver's untimely death, yet against Black Lives Matter, consider that Shaver might well be alive if only the Mesa Police Department had long ago adopted reforms of the sort that Black Lives Matter suggests.
Campaign, if you don't even gotta look at just that. Campaign Zero has 10 different reforms that we can enact that would make the citizens and the police officers safer for their jobs. And let's also not forget that being a police officer is not even in the top 10 most dangerous jobs in America. Yes, being a police officer is hard. It's hard work. It's a 40-hour job. But your job is to protect and serve. If you thinking that your job is I just need to get home safe, I need to get home safe, forget the rest of y'all, then UPS is hiring. Walmart is hiring. Find a new job, because you're not doing yours.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're not helping us.
If you sign up to be a cop, you're signing up to be a martyr, man. It's just if you're signing up to be a cop, you're signing up to be a martyr of peace for society.
Right.
That's what you're doing. It's why cops are heroes, in my opinion. Right. Like, that's what.
Well, I mean, that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Like, in most cases, like, the way it's constructed is, you have like a handful of, or not even a handful, but like, there's this really great quote a few years ago from like a former police chief, and they talked about how the root problem with policing is not so much good cops versus bad cops. It's that every police department has like a certain number of bad cops, a certain number of good cops, and depending on what the ratio of those are respectively, the rest of the department will tilt on whoever has the most influence, tilt towards whoever has the most influence. So, too many more bad cops than good cops means a bad department.
It's almost it's almost like the police department is based off of the slave patrols that that they were born from. Yeah. It's almost like the police department in multiple states and cities around here look at their citizens like they are this is the Gaza Strip, and they're the Palestinians trying to stay alive.
Keep in mind, like, models of like security, like local, like town or neighborhood security, because you're exactly right, Lawrence, and I want to kind of broaden that historical point. Modern police departments in America, as they are known today, emerged from the slave patrols that you just talked about. And typically, they hired a lot of poor white people who didn't really have too many other opportunities. And oh man, that's a much larger discussion about how
to hunt down people who wanted to be free because they thought that being an American meant that all men are created equal, except for you darkies.
But so anyway, it used to be like a town, a city, a neighborhood there was kind of shared responsibility over security. So you would have like a handful of like watchmen or like, you know, neighborhood watch type people, and if something was going down, the neighborhood would get involved. And with the advent of modern policing, people just kind of gave that responsibility to them, and because so often now it's people who are not actually part of the community, that's why modern policing so much more looks like an occupying army than it does a community watch.
I mean, for those of my Caucasian brothers and sisters, I don't feel like calling y'all white right now. If y'all are upset about this video, you are outraged about what happened to Dane Schaefer and other white people who were shot and killed by the police unjustly that we've caught on camera. Imagine how it feels to be a minority in this country, and we've been telling you this for years.
I mean,
like
to put a finer note on it.
Yeah.
If this video outrages you, but the video of Philando Castile does not outrage you, you need to do some self-reflection.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. If you feel for this man, like crying and begging for his life, essentially, in a hallway in a hotel room, but feel nothing for a man shot and killed in the passenger seat.
He was in the passenger seat
of his girlfriend's car with his child
in the back.
And you do not feel for him or his. You have some serious self-reflection you need to do.
You got some internal biases right there.
Yeah. You really need to take a hard look at yourself and ask yourself, is that the person you actually are?
All right. I think y'all let's take another quick break, and we come back. We'll get back in the heat of the discussion. This is the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo, your only source for political revolution.
Everybody, it's RJD. What's up, everybody? It's RJD2, and you're listening to 89.1 WIDR FM, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
WIDR is proud to be supported by Pedal Bicycle. Pedal Bicycle has 2 locations on 611 West Michigan Ave and 185 Romans Road. More information can be found at pedalbicycle.com.
You are now listening to our weekly RSO Spotlight.
Hi, I'm Alex Felice.
And I'm Kelly Coffee Tabby.
We are proud members of Sigma Kappa sorority.
We live our day-to-day values of loyalty, personal growth, friendship, and service.
We are the main benefactor for the Alzheimer's Association.
If you would like to learn more about Sigma Kappa's involvement in Greek life,
visit our website at wmish.sigmakappa.org
or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sigma Kappa WMU.
For more information on this week's RSO, you can visit westernherald.com, YBot WMU on YouTube, or widerfm.org.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. This is the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo. So, kind of switching gears a little bit. Tomorrow is the day. Ajit Pai, Verizon's pet stooge, is set to call for a vote on whether or not to eliminate net neutrality.
My favorite part about Ajit Pai being called a Verizon shill is he laughs like it's not true.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, I'll bring that up in a sec because there was a telecom conference of all the big. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit more. So there was a protest last week that I helped organize on Thursday, and it was there were protests in front of Verizon stores all over the country. In Kalamazoo, we had a group of about 5 or 6. At West Main around noon. At 3 o'clock, there was about a dozen. And then at about 5 o'clock over on Westnedge, there was about 20 people, which, by the way, that day was extremely windy and it was basically a snowstorm. So it was a pretty good turnout for that neutrality protest. It was cold, too. I think the wind chill was about 10 degrees. So, people were out there across the country to protest. Verizon's been at the forefront of trying to crush net neutrality, even as far back as 2014, when they were trying to push SOPA through the Stop Online Piracy Act, which was basically trying to Trojan horse killing net neutrality in there, too. So there's been a lot of resistance going on, a lot of cross-partisan resistance, too. There's a lot, the only people I've seen who are actually down with this are the libertarian economic right. Not even traditional libertarian.
The people with all the bad ideas.
Like the Koch brother type libertarians.
People with all the bad ideas. Yeah. No, I actually ran into one of those today on a friend of mine on Facebook. He had a thread about it. He had someone pop in with that talking about how the government only can do bad things.
Oh yeah.
It's free market. Let the free market decide.
And I just had to I wound up I didn't actually really interact with this guy that much because he just came off as a complete joke. But he put forth his ideas, and I'm just you know what? You're right. As long as the corporations can control the biggest free speech platform humanity has ever created, at least it's not the government.
Well, that reminds one of my favorite little memes is it has the "Don't Tread on Me" snake, which is kind of a symbol of a lot of people on the anti-government.
At least it's not the government.
At least it's not the government, and then the boot is a giant.
It's a giant
Comcast and Verizon and all of those.
That is actually the exact meme I posted.
Yeah.
I literally posted that exact meme to him.
So it's okay
he has
to
not
crush
responded back.
It's okay to crush our rights as long as a corporation is doing it, not the
I
government.
mean, as long as Edgy Pie can, after he resigned from the FCC, go back to Verizon and make money. That revolving door of DC. The other part of this is that the reason why it's nonpartisan is because a lot of Republicans are starting to realize, like, they're gonna destroy Democracy Now! And MSNBC. Wait, they're also
Wait a second.
Wait,
that
they're
means
also
Breitbart.
That means Breitbart. That means Daily Caller.
That means The Blaze.
That means The Blaze. That means that means all of the places that I like to go to get information are also going to be destroyed.
And let's be clear, like, these, the telecoms are not a monolith. Like, Comcast owns MSNBC, so they're going to funnel all of our attention to, whether you're right or left, to establishment sources. And we've already seen this in practice. I talked a little bit about this at the rally, actually, how, like, the biggest problem, especially as pertains to this show, is media censorship. Because, YouTube, they're demonetizing videos, and that's not just leftist videos, that's also anti-establishment videos on the right.
That's also video game channels. Like, that's like makeup channels and stuff. I'm just like, geez.
Yeah, if you include certain words in your title, YouTube will just choose to demonetize it for no reason.
I'm just like, why are you demonetizing movie reviews? Like, movie reviewers. Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's DMCA stuff.
Let me give two examples here.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Let's say you're looking up an article from Democracy Now! That's criticizing Comcast. And let's say maybe the next day, maybe it's your ritual. I listen to Democracy Now! Every morning. Oh, well, Democracy Now! It's loading really slow. Or I can't get it to load. Or Democracy Now! Is not popping up in my search results. It'll be perfectly legal for them to do that. Same if, like, you're looking up for an article from, say, like, the Daily Caller, or even, like, say like, the Blaze or something, and they're reporting, like, a truthful article about, like, Clinton Foundation corruption or something.
You want to go find your favorite Milo Yiannopoulos clip.
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah.
You want to go find your favorite Ben Shapiro clip.
Right. You want to hear Tommy Lauren rant some more. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, wait, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Now,
Tommy Lauren's a bad example because she works at Fox News now.
Oh, she does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about, I meant to say Ann Coulter.
Oh, there you go.
That's another replaceable blonde.
You want to go check? You want to go check Joe Walsh's Twitter?
Like, yeah. Here's the thing. It just doesn't affect media. It also affects your other sites. Netflix. Netflix is not Comcast. If I remember correctly, doesn't Comcast has a stock or something in Hulu? And
exactly.
And Hulu Plus.
Netflix is their competitor.
Right, Netflix is their competitor.
This is what gets me about.
They've had a history with Netflix too.
They had a history with Netflix, and they would slow down some of their videos and stuff in some of their customers in their network.
No, that's not the issue. This is what actually gets me about the net neutrality debate. I use air quotes for that debate. It's not a debate.
It's not.
What gets me about this is every single time it comes up, the telecoms say, oh, well, we won't throttle Netflix even though we have a competing service. No, you did that. You did that. You've already done it. You've already slowed Netflix to the point where people moved away from Netflix and started looking elsewhere for streaming content because it took so long to load. Like, you have already done it. You've like...
Wait, I won't rob you again.
Telecoms have, like, internet telecoms and ISPs have already censored and blocked emails that criticized them from reaching their intended person. Like, I believe AOL did that. Like, it is
Google did that.
Yeah, Google's done it. It is already proven that the ISPs will control your speech and what you say if net neutrality stops being a common key. Like, if net neutrality is repealed, if the internet is not kept as a listed under Title II protections of the 1934 Communications Act as a common carrier network.
Yeah.
It is a requirement for a free and open internet to be a common carrier network, because what a common carrier network means is that the people who control access to that network, like you can still have a controlling of access to that network, but the network itself has to remain open. That's how our phone lines are regulated. It's what keeps telephone companies from charging you extra when you want to call 3 states away. No, the phone line remains open. It doesn't cost, like, it's not supposed to cost you more to call somewhere else, especially it's not supposed to gate communication like that. So, and that's what Title II protection. That's what the Title II of the Communications Act of 1934 does, is it establishes common carrier networks. If access to the internet stops being a common carrier network, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay. There's 2 things I just want to add to that. One, the people who actually created the internet actually did an article and did a video, an open letter to Ajay telling him, you don't know what you're talking about. Will you please leave it alone? Don't touch it. You're gonna mess it up. When the creators of the internet come together,
when DARPA comes at you and is all like, you don't know what you're doing.
Stop it. Don't touch it. You're gonna mess it up. like a dad working on a project, and the 2-year-old's about to come and kick it over. That, and also,
but it'll help investment and free market.
That okay. That's the other part I was gonna get to. That's the third part. Second part is this: for people who do not believe that that places like Twitter and Google did not restrict information, look up what they did when it came to the WikiLeaks emails.
Oh yeah,
Twitter
they admitted
this in open testimony that they would censor or delete tweets or content that had anything to do with the WikiLeaks emails.
Hashtag DNC.
Hashtag DNC emails. It's the same thing with Google. Google deleted and would not load anything that had to do with the Clinton campaign, or not Clinton campaign. The indictment.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't have a history of this. And also, to add to the fact that it will add to the economy. It will help small investors. When they create a toll for content creators, only the richest among you will be able to pay that toll and not have a problem. Everyone else, like Jimmy Dore Show or Secular Talk or Redacted Tonight or any other place that you want to go that's not backed by a multinational corporation, they're going to be destroyed. They already have been. So if you think it's not going to happen, it's not. And also,
where are we going to get our news for this show, man?
Oh my God! The Guardian, The Intercept. I don't want to see Rooted. I don't want to see them be. I do not want to see them get the TV One treatment. You know what I'm saying? Which I do also want to talk about again, but we'll talk about that on another show.
It's just one of those things where, like, this week, Doug Jones wins the Alabama Senate seat of Jeff Sessions in a special election. Democrats close the margin in the Senate by 1. Tomorrow, the corporate-controlled FCC is going to kill net neutrality. Like, it's just like
it has been like R1.
It is the roller coaster. This is the emotional roller coaster. This year will go down. 2016.
Honestly, if I make it to 2030, I'm gonna be surprised.
No.
I really am.
Here's the thing. 2016 is going to be looked at as the mark of the beast. 2017 is going to be looked at as the everyone got fired for sexual harassment filing, and we had the emotional roller coaster of a lifetime by seeing how fast our country can be destroyed.
Well, I think, it's funny how everybody last year was like, oh my God, I'm so happy 2016 is over. It's like, are you kidding? One, no matter how bad it's going to be, Prince and David Bowie are still dead.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see the fallout of all of the 2016 was the prologue.
Oh, thank God 2016 is over. I'm so glad. I can't wait for 2017. It's going to be such a good year.
I can't wait for 2018.
It's December of 2017. How's your year been? Mine has been terrible.
Oh, man.
Mine has been absolutely awful. 2017 has been just as much of a dumpster fire as 2016 was, if not more so. 2018 doesn't look much better.
No. 2017, you had a fake resistance versus you had a fake resistance fighting the real resistance, and then finally we had people unifying over things like, hey, maybe I don't want my favorite XXX site or my favorite whatever site to be slowed down.
Why don't we say this? Let's. There is going to be either one or two more shows for New Year's, so like we'll have like a kind of year in review
the
type
best,
show.
the best of the best of
best of the worst,
the best of the worst of 2017.
Oh my God!
Oh man, that means I have to
really
take time
good
out of D&D for that. Okay, like
there were some really good video games that came out this year.
Hey, that's true.
Horizon Zero Dawn was absolutely outstanding.
I ain't gonna lie, like I don't know where I'd find time to
never played
like.
it?
Because I do this show
play on PC, man,
and like I'm out doing activist stuff all the time. But like the new Zelda game makes me want to just like not be an activist for about a month.
Oh yeah, that
anyway,
game was
look,
amazing.
I'm still like, man, I should probably get a Switch in Breath of the Wild.
Oh my God!
So we're going a little off track. But anyway, okay, so like I hope somebody can find like the Triforce of Wisdom and pull us out of this crap. But anyway,
Bernie Sanders has it. The rest of America just doesn't believe it, man.
And we've got a guy in the castle right now. He's gonna make Hyrule great again.
Oh man,
it's gonna be so great.
We have Ganondorf. Oh no,
there's gonna be rupees.
It's gonna be rupees.
I'm gonna give the rupees to the top 1%. And they'll just put it in all the bushes all over the field. You can go get it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Lawn mowing services are necessary in Hyrule.
Oh my God.
All right, so let's go back to net neutrality. So. So whatever happens tomorrow, I want to leave everybody on like a kind of a positive note. There's a couple of good things. One, I was reading this. I can't remember exactly what the source was, but there is a legal precedent to fight against this if they vote to kill net neutrality. And what it basically boils down to is if a federal agency like the FCC is going to make such a giant sweeping decision, the legal precedent is this. They have to have a very detailed and basically what's the word? Comprehensive and legit legal reasoning to do so.
Oh,
so
good.
they can't just abolish it just cause.
Thank goodness, because a Pie doesn't know what he's doing.
So people are going to be able to basically take the FCC to court and be like, why do we need to kill net neutrality? Explain yourself. And then they'll have to come up and be like, well, because. So
this also goes to a point that we made or you made earlier about the mainstream media. Why is it that the only people who actually had edgy Pie on mainstream media was Fox News?
Oh, this I can explain. The Humanist Report actually went over that real quick, and it has to do with the conference, the telecom conference that was there.
Yeah. Let's bring this up.
So this telecom conference is it's literally like all of the industry bigwigs and the regulators, that whole revolving door, getting together and, commiserating about it. Najib Pai was there talking about how they're about to repeal net neutrality. And, that's totally a good thing. And, that's literally the only room full of people that actually agrees with it. and he played a clip from a Humanist Report video that called him and another FCC commissioner corporate tools, corporate shills. And like the room laughed about it. But the host, I can't pronounce his last
Kyle Kalinske?
No, that's Secular Talk. Mike Figuerello.
Yeah, Mike Figuerello.
Mike Figuerello of the Humanist Report. He was completely serious about that. Like I've gone back and I watched that bit, and I've been watching his bits on net neutrality for like the last 3 weeks, and he's like, no, they are factual corporate shills. They're there to destroy it from the inside for the benefit of these companies. It's not hard to figure out when you just kind of look at it.
The fact that they played his clip,
they played his
during the conference only shows you their
disdain.
It's not just disdain.
Yeah.
It is sheer right arrogance. I know. I have the audacity to look at my critics, and I can look at my critics and say, hey, yeah, I see your point. I could do something that's better, but
screw you.
I'm making these millions.
But
I'm too busy making these millions.
But Mike Figuerello. I need to see it in front of me to actually maybe pronounce it correctly. Yeah. But he made a good point about Ajit Pai on mainstream media, because Ajit Pai did go on MSNBC. He was on MSNBC. He has been on CNN, but he's been on the shows of the more right-wing apologetic hosts, because he knows that he doesn't have an argument. And if he goes on a show with someone who inherently disagrees with him and they challenge him on those topics, that he won't.
I mean, I would say even on the left-leaning shows like on MSNBC and CNN, there's a pattern when it comes to net neutrality.
As much as I dislike Joy Reid has taken down arguments from Michael Carr, the FCC chairman. Like, as much distaste as I have for Joy Reid does occasionally have shining moments where she's actually a journalist.
I mean, it's not just her. Like, you have, if we're gonna talk about CNN, you have the man with the greatest porn star name on planet Earth, Jake Tapper. He will sometimes have those moments. Sometimes he will have moments of greatness. Don Lemon is once in a blue moon, but it's there. It's there. Yeah. And then, but again, you're right. Ajit Pai will not go on a show like with Chris Hayes. He will not go on a show with, and I don't meet the press. I don't like to do Chuck Todd. Yeah. I honestly do not like Chuck Todd's journalism and the way he frames things. But Chuck Todd is someone who will push back against garbage, and.
Actually, I remember Trump kicked him out of the Oval Office. He was trying to ask him questions.
But that's the thing. It's. I can also explain why he went on those more right-wing shows. Comcast and Time Warner owns MSNBC.
Yeah.
And Time Warner owns CNN. Comcast owns MSNBC and NBC. So yeah, I can see why he would go on those shows. I can also see why he would go on Fox News, and Fox News basically was like, please spill your propaganda over our sites.
My biggest problem has actually been when Michael Carr was on 1A with Joshua Johnson.
Yeah.
Sometime last week. I think it was around Friday. I think it was last Thursday. Joshua Johnson, man, I gotta call you out on air. You need to do your job. You had an FCC commissioner spit outright lies on your show and you did not correct him. You need to do your job. I am upset at you. You're public radio, dude. You're funded by public dollars. I know there are corporate sponsors of NPR, and I know NPR likes to ride that line to not tick off the administration too much, but you're still a public journalist and you still need to do your freaking job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, here's the thing. NPR would do good things. NPR will have like Cenk Uygur on there, and Cenk Uygur can defend himself because he actually has facts on his side. But then, right after Cenk Uygur gets done spitting facts, they'll put somebody like Rick Santorum on NPR, and it's just like, why? Why
Neutrality
would you?
bias.
Why would you do this? It's just, God, please stop it.
It's it's neutrality bias.
I did want to bring up one other positive thing, which and a lot of people have been talking about this lately. If net neutrality gets killed, it might light a fire under a lot of people's butts to pursue municipal internet, and this is happening in places like Colorado. It's
happening in Detroit right now.
It's some city in Tennessee, Chattanooga. Chattanooga has municipal internet.
I mean, my kind of glass half full take on the repeal of net neutrality is reinstating net neutrality becomes a huge First Amendment platform for anybody who wants to grab it.
Mm-hmm. And
like right there, reinstating net neutrality and making and government regulation of corporations to make sure that corporations do not stomp on your right to free speech, like that.
But I almost prefer the idea of if everybody starts pursuing municipal internet at the local level, then we won't have to keep defending net neutrality time and time again because it will be a public utility.
It's it's like
I agree with that though.
I know I agree with both of those things, but it's like, oh my God, we actually have an option because in most places, because let's not forget, in most places, your internet choices is 1 to maybe 2 people. Maybe only 1.
Oh yeah, in Kalamazoo, it's Charter and AT&T,
and that's it.
That's it.
You don't have any other choice.
Somebody come at me on Facebook and correct me if I'm wrong about whether or not we have some smaller ISPs in the county.
No, that's really it.
But if we have 2 choices for ISPs, so what happens when Charter starts screwing you over? You're going to say, well, I'm going to go over to AT&T. AT&T is doing the same thing. Where do you go for internet access? The library.
The library.
which is actually, another one of those kind of devious things because the library has to get its internet access from Charter or AT&T, which means the public has to pay more money for public access to internet in public libraries anyway. So it's still a transference of public dollars to private industry, and that's why it's still garbage.
All right, y'all. Think maybe we should take another quick break. Okay, before we do that, let me give you a little bit of information if you want to make some last minute do some last minute actions. Some emails for the commissioners, particularly the ones that might be swayable. Mignon Clyburn. Mignon.clyburn@fcc.gov. Brendan.carr@fcc.gov. Michael O'Reilly, Mike.O-Riley, which is updash, at fcc.gov. And if you call Gary Peters, who voted to confirm IG Pie, that number is 202-224-6221. And I'm not giving you Ajit Pai's phone number because,
he's not going to listen to you anyway because you're not a corporation. So don't even bother.
No. I'm maybe because I'm a troll. I would still do it. I would that's the troll in me. I'm like, no, I would still call.
Okay, so let's play. We're gonna play a PSA real quick, and then we'll come back. Try to clear out a couple more topics while we still got time on the show. This is the Hoodrat Strategist radio program, only on 89.1 WIDR Kalamazoo.
Alvan Humane Society is a non-for-profit, no-kill animal shelter that has been serving Allegan, Van Buren, and surrounding areas for almost 50 years. They are hosting their CARES Fund Drive and are over halfway to their $500,000 goal. Alvan can currently house around 30 dogs and 100 cats. Money raised from the CARES campaign will go to build a new shelter, which will expand this capacity by 20%. Alvan Humane Society has 20 dogs and 40 cats that are microchipped, spayed and neutered, and fully vaccinated, ready for adoption right now. To adopt a pet, donate to the CARES Fund Drive, or find out more, feel free to visit them on the web at www.al-van.org.
Wider FM is supported in part by local Kalamazoo and Greater West Michigan businesses like yours. If you are interested in getting your business's name on the air while supporting Radio Evolution, please visit widerfm.org for underwriting packages and other support options.
Hello. We're back on air. All right, man. We got 20 minutes, and I know there's a couple. So
what do y'all feel like talking about today?
Well, there was so we have Eric Prince's proposed little Gestapo or SS thing.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that next time.
Green. Yeah,
that one's just more of a, hey guys, you know how you effectively don't have Fourth Amendment rights because of the Patriot Act? Well, the Trump administration is considering, even though the White House and the intelligence community say they are not, the White House is actually considering forming a private intelligence agency outside of the bureaucracy of the CIA or the FBI or any existent intelligence agency within the U.S.
The CIA won't. Yeah,
the CIA is not bad enough. We need another one who only reports to Donald Trump and Mike Pompeo. And it's being helped organize. It was proposed and is being organized by Eric Prince, the guy who was responsible for the Blackwater Private Military Corporation. That group that did a whole bunch of war crimes. So,
Abu Ghraib.
I mean, I'm sure it's all on the up and up. This has never turned out badly before anywhere. It did great in Germany twice. Yeah. It was Stalin. Stalin. He used it for good. God. So
I'm laughing because it hurts so bad.
Yeah, that's the only way I can present it. That is the only way I can present this without it being absolutely horrifying to the everyday American, because remember, you effectively don't have Fourth Amendment rights, and an army of private spies can, just black bag you and take you off to Gitmo.
That's actually one of those moments when I actually have to say thanks, Obama, because that was during the Obama administration that the 10 AA Act, where they created so that where if the military, if the government said, if Martin Luther King was alive today, and what the government said about Martin Luther King back during that time, they could literally snatch him out of his house and take him to a black site, like the one they had in Chicago or in Gitmo, and he would not have any due process. He would not have a fast and speedy trial. He would have no rights.
On the other hand,
Jesus Christ.
On the other hand of this issue, the Trump administration is truly as inept as it seems, because they have an American citizen that they are legally detaining secretly, who asked for his lawyer, and they announced that they announced publicly, no, we're not going to give you a lawyer. They are so this is actually a good sign, because they are so inept that they cannot actually.
Okay, Mr. Mueller, if you are listening to this, I know you are, because the CIA has every single thing that we say on around computers, television.
NSA guy.
Yeah, NSA.
Hey, Facebook.
Yeah.
What's up?
If you're listening to this, and I know that you are, hurry up, okay? Like, dog. Here's the thing. We know that the election fraud is skeptical, but you know as well as we do that Trump's money is tied up with Russian oligarchs. You know as well as we do, because it's already been proven that he is compromised financially.
He's compromised financially 8 ways to Sunday.
And he's wait. Not just that. Congress. He broke the emolument clause. Day one. He's said in public that he fired James Comey because of the investigation. That is obstruction of justice by definition. Jesus Christ, people, do your job.
Yeah,
do your job.
This dude is. Hey, you remember that time the Republicans impeached Bill Clinton about lying about a blowjob?
Right. This dude lies nonstop. He lies 10 times before he drinks all 28 of his diet Pepsis or Diet Colas. That's not the point. The point that scares me.
I mean, the first thing he did today was wake up, sit on his throne, his toilet, and tweeted out lies about his support for Roy Moore.
Oh, right.
Like that's what he did today.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, this is the thing. This is the thing that scares me the most, because this nincompoop keeps drumming up war with North Korea, and the people who are most afraid of all the stuff that he's been saying about North Korea is South Korea. If you have not been looking at what South Korea and others have been saying, not only that, him moving our embassy into Jerusalem and saying that Jerusalem is the capital of
recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
You know, and the fact that every single nation that's our ally has said, bruh, what are you doing? What are those? Stop it.
I've got the explanation for you right here. Well, you see, a couple weeks ago, Iraq declared that it had driven ISIS out of all of the territory it held. Right. Iraq is whole again. Iraq defeated ISIS in the area.
Right.
Not too long, around the time that Trump declared that America is going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, Syria declared that it had defeated ISIS in Syrian territory. ISIS is dead. ISIS is gone. ISIS is defeated.
No, ISIS has, and for those who don't understand, ISIS and Al Qaeda has surrendered to the United States over 3 different times.
Yep.
Over the last 16, 17 years, they have surrendered to the United States over 6 different times, both groups.
Yep,
the reason why the United States keeps using them.
Taliban and Al Qaeda.
Yeah, Taliban and Al Qaeda.
The reason why is the exact same reason why we're declared, why our administration is recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of the Israeli state, is because even though these organizations have surrendered to the U.S., it's like, guys, we're done. You bombed the crap out of us. We don't have an infrastructure. We don't have training. We're done. You crushed us.
Right.
Nope. We're gonna keep dropping bombs on you because that's how our economy works.
Basically,
like that's one of the reasons why the war on terror is still going. ISIS is defeated. ISIS is done. So what do? We say inflammatory statements like Jerusalem is the capital of Israel to continue to drive division and strife in the Middle East in order to keep the area unstable, in order to keep our military interests there, in order to keep our military industrial complex going. Like, I guarantee you.
I mean, it's not that it's not what you just said is there's nothing to debate about it. They still want to go. They still want to go into Iran. They still want that war. We're still doing African, and we're still destabilizing Africa from natural resources. And he's drumming up war for against North Korea, forgetting the fact that North Korea, the first people that they're going to hit is South Korea, and you have numbnuts like Republicans going on Fox News saying, like Lindsey Graham going on Fox News saying, yeah, kill them over there, it's not going to affect us. Are you insane?
Yes.
Have you literally lost your mind?
Yes.
Because, and this is from a person who calls himself a Christian. I am disgusted as a Christian when I heard him say those things. I'm like, that is not what the Christ said. That is nowhere near what's in the Bible.
Supply side Jesus, man. Supply side Jesus.
Well, I mean, it's the big problem between, nationalism versus internationalism. Right. It's why we've been able to have our blinders on so much for example, what just happened in New York yesterday, where this guy bungled a suicide bombing, and it got lots of national attention. When one of our bombs falls on a house and kills like dozens of innocent people, most Americans hear nothing about it. And even if they did, there's like,
zero things.
People over
like
there,
one of the reasons,
care about
like it's because again, journalists aren't doing their job. Part of the reason why dissent and disapproval of the Vietnam War spiked so hard was because there were journalists on the ground in Vietnam recording what had happened. It was the first war that was on national television, and people were against it. Mm-hmm. Like, as soon as this, it was one of the biggest reasons why dissent against the Vietnam War happened. We don't have journalists on the ground in Iraq or Iran or Afghanistan or anywhere where we have troops on the ground. We don't have journalists there. American journalists aren't there.
Oh no, American journalists will be there, but then American Apache helicopters and drone pilots will drone strike them. Like just like with Chelsea, like with the things that Chelsea Manning went to jail for telling the truth. That Americans on the American military on our behalf, on the American people's behalf, were doing war crimes, were killing journalists, then turning around and killing the first responders. We were doing that in the name of freedom. Like, we were bombing
some Orwellian bullcrap right there.
Like we're bombing for freedom.
War is peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
War is peace.
There you go.
We're bombing for freedom the same way a prostitute has sex for virginity. That is what we are doing.
War is peace. We must be at war in order to bring peace. War is peace.
Well, I mean, the whole concept of humanitarian war, I mean, it goes all the way back to like the Spanish-American War, and it's a tactic that has been used like for the better part of a century. It's like, look at these people living in this oppressive regime. Oh my goodness, what can we do about it? Should we send our military to go intervene? And the American public is like, oh yes, we got to help those poor people. And then they get sent over there, and like General Smedley Butler says, I was not fighting for my country. I was a hired goon fighting for a corporation. And
that's what we have now.
I mean,
when you look at the Iraq War and Afghanistan War, what was it for? It wasn't for peace. It wasn't because Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. He didn't. Noam Chomsky brings it up in manufacturing consent. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. We were lied to so that Halliburton and GE and all the other defense contractors can make more money.
I would like to quote the band Valiant Thor, their song Exit Strategy. I sent your son with a plan to fight some war in a desert land. He ain't gonna come home again. He's making some money for a Texas man.
Yep. Mm-hmm. There you go. There you go.
I love Valiant Thor.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Valiant Thor. Please come to Kalamazoo.
Can we? I mean, I will quote someone, quote another artist, but that's for a different song. That's for a different story. I would like to talk about the DNC.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the active.
How many more minutes do we have?
We got about 8 minutes left.
Okay.
Let's
touch on the fact that the DNC and the DCCC are effectively trying to kneecap progressive efforts to make the country better before they can even get a chance to get off the ground. Lawrence, take it away.
Okay. Okay, so TYT, y'all already know it's the Young Turks, and the Young Turks has this thing called TYT Investigates. TYT Investigates are a group of investigative journalists who are good at their job. So Michael Tracy wrote an article, and his article was talking about a letter that the DNC was sending out to people who were being candidates or potential candidates. It had 3 things in the letter that stood out that shows that the DNC has not learned anything from 2016. The first part of the letter was not as egregious. It was basically saying during the primary of 2018 into 2020, after the primary, you should have a unity conference so that we could bring the different sides of the party together so we can win the general election. I have mixed feelings about it. If the primary gets ugly, like how John McCain and George Bush primary got ugly, then no, I wouldn't be joining a unity conference with my political opponent. But it doesn't have to get that ugly. It could just be about policy, which is fine. The second thing that was egregious about the letter, in the letter it was saying that you can, as a candidate in the Democratic Party, you cannot say anything or do anything that will harm us in a general election. So I can't, as a candidate, talk about my other candidates' problems and explain to the American people that I'm doing something better. Mm-hmm. That doesn't. Why do we have a primary? What's the point of the primary if I cannot discuss the issues and tell the American people who I need to vote for me why this other candidate is not representing you?
Well, again, it's they're trying to keep any criticism of the Democratic Party in general out of public discourse.
Wait, but it gets better. It gets better. The third thing that was absolutely egregious in the letter was saying that when you're raising money as a politician in the Democratic Party, you must spend 75% of your revenue on TV ads. Why do I need to spend 75% of the money that I raise in my campaign on TV ads? Why can I not spend that money on grassroots activists, grassroots volunteers knocking on doors, or having rallies, or planning debates with my opponent? Why can I not use that money the way that I want to?
Yeah. Or spending it on ads, on Facebook ads for yourself, or spending it on ads that have a greater chance of actually hitting the largest voting demographic, which is 18 to 35 now. Mm-hmm. 18 to 35 year olds generally don't have TV. We have the least amount of TV in the current generations, in the current generational breakdown as society decides that it is. Like, millennials are cord cutters.
Because we can stream stuff on our TV.
We've got the internet,
on our phone.
man.
We have the internet.
Yeah,
we have
got
computer.
the internet.
So this goes to the thing that makes this goes to the most egregious thing. If you do not, the DCCC sent out this letter, and the DCCC was saying that if you do not oblige by these different standard rules, then we will cut you out of VAN. And for people who do not understand what VAN is, that's the Voter Access Network. Basically, the backbone of any campaign. You need to see in the voting rolls. The voting rolls are basically the people who vote in your party, and the information so you can actually, so your platform can reach them. The DCCC is basically saying, we won't give you that information if you do not sign and comply to the rules that we're setting up right now. When we talk about rigging the election, and we've talked about that a lot on this show.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is another form of it. First of all, if it's my campaign, I'm going to spend my money the way that I want to spend my money to make sure that my message get out there. Second of all, if the candidate that I'm going against is an incumbent or whoever, but that person is not representing the American people, but representing the establishment, representing corporate America, and everything that they voted for or done has actually hurt the interest of my constituents, then I'm going to point that out. And if you're upset because I pointed out, then that sounds like your opinion, man. If you have a problem with what I'm saying, then let's have a debate. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about, give me a reason why you're voting for corporations instead of the American people. And if you start attacking me in my personal life, you're not talking about the issues. No, I'm not going to have a Unity Reform Commission with you. I'm not going to have a Unity Party, Unity event afterwards. No.
Why do I want to collaborate with somebody who thinks so little of me?
Yeah,
exactly.
Why do I want to collaborate with you? You don't like me. You don't like my ideas. You think my ideas are bad.
You probably spent some time crapping on my supporters. You know?
Right.
So why
calling my supporters racist and sexist?
Yeah, it's
no.
It's just devolving to a base level of slander of people that you need to work with in order to overcome an overwhelming majority currently of Republicans in both the House, in the Senate at least. The House, or in the House, the Senate's looking riper every day. But there's still a lot of work to do in the House. There's still a lot of work to do on the state level. There's still a lot to work to do there's still a lot of work to do in state legislatures too. So it's not just the national level. When we're talking about corporate Democrats kneecapping progressive efforts in order to make the country better, because that national standard trickles down to the state parties.
Oh yeah.
Because the state parties tend to follow the leader.
Oh, yeah.
So if the national party is gonna kneecap progressives in states, well, congratulations.
And I'd like to add too, look at all the recent election victories. Doug Jones notwithstanding, it's been people who are filed as Democrats who the Democratic Party has shunned.
The race in Birmingham, Alabama, with the black guy. I forgot his name, but he was a Bernie crack. He fought for $15 minimum wage.
The independent social Democrat who was completely abandoned by the Democratic Party entirely and went, well, I'm going to run on this platform, and won anyway.
Oh yeah.
Wait. What about sorry.
Well, and something that got brought up. I was at a meeting with the progressive group in Grand Rapids, and I'm like, why are we even trying to get money from the DCCC? We don't know where that money comes from. Probably some gross corporate BS.
When you
fair
look at,
point, actually.
if You are beholden to the people who give you your money. If your money comes from the average American, then you will listen to the average American's needs. If you get your money from multinational corporations, then you're going to be like, hey, I know I'm polluting your neighborhood with toxic fumes from my corporation, but I got $100,000 in campaign.
But guys, Trump
and Russia.
Trump, Russia. Don't look at us too hard because then you'll realize we're kind of terrible.
Oh man.
But that's the whole issue that pisses me off. They act like the Democratic Party, the DCCC, and the Democratic establishment act like that they didn't just burn $1 billion losing the easiest race in the known history of the United States.
Okay, so we're a little bit over time. Just any final thoughts, guys?
No, I'm good.
All right. Okay,
see y'all next week.
Yeah, this has been the Hoodrat Strategist radio program. Want to thank y'all for tuning in. Remember, if you're mad about that net neutrality stuff, if you feel like it, there's some phone calls you could be making. And see y'all later. Keep fighting for that revolution solution.